Hello, everyone. My name is Mark from the Misplay Podcast, and you're listening to Eternal Journey, everyone's favorite Eternal podcast.
Welcome to Eternal Journey, the podcast.
Greetings, all my knights and Puntawans. You are listening to Eternal Journey, the podcast that talks about all things eternal with a focus on limited play. I'm your host, Jedi, and it's episode 129 of the podcast where we are going to be going over... Oh, man, I always do this. What is it? Enter the Arcanum, right? That's it, John?
Yes, sir.
All right, sweet. We're going over the mini campaign... buypack, pay to win, I don't know what you want to call it, but the little snippets of sweet interjection of cards, injections that Direwolf does to, lighten up the load, brew some creativity in between sets. And Arcanum is the name of the game today, and we're going to be evaluating each card for constructed. Unfortunate, I didn't get a chance, though I love it. Yeah, let me introduce my guest before I go into that. First off, the veteran, the senior, the best player on the podcast, John Holio. What's up, homie?
Well, maybe not tonight with our special guest here, but hey, what's up?
Holla. Speaking of our special guest, longtime supporter, longtime friend, great personality. You may love him or hate him based on how you see him on the ladder or in the tournament scene. We have Old Rich. Welcome, friend.
Hey, thank you for the kind words. It's very exciting to be here.
Well, at least kind words to your face.
Still counts.
Yep. So, real quick, I want to say thank you to all the supporters of the show, including Old Rich, Chastity Weaver, Sandy Fur, and Fast Cookie. You guys rock out there. Keep on doing what you guys are doing. You guys are awesome. Unfortunately, no Alex the underscore with us this week. Constructed is not his brew, so he decided to take the week off. Unfortunate because we miss him, but hey, man, we're thinking about you out there. I don't even know if he listens to the podcast. Probably not.
He might catch up every once in a while, but yeah, I don't think he even commutes anymore.
Yeah, true. Yeah, work from home, right? So real quick, before we dive into it, I do want to say that once again, I'm going to say that this podcast is the proponent of what made that happen. But Direwolf has started to include Scion drafting right before these little mini campaigns drop and include some of the cards in the draft format, which I think is fantastic. John, you and I have definitely made that conversation that some of these cards are unplayable, but in constructed, but in a limited format, they would be very exciting to play with. And I think Direwolf heard our cries, and once again, they didn't put it into the actual draft set, but they put it into the Scion drafts, which I think is fantastic.
I did a ton of Scion drafts this time, so yeah, I got to play with a good amount of these cards in like a limited environment, and honestly, some of them probably shine there as opposed to either constructed format, which I'm sure we'll talk about some of these cards in that light. But yeah, I thought it was more balanced than usual, although I definitely started facing more Xenon piles towards the end there. But I think a lot of people were trying out the new cards and not just forcing certain archetypes. Like aggro was definitely viable. So yeah, it was a good format.
Nice. Rich, did you do any Scion drafting?
I did a couple. I usually don't do the events because I'm mostly a free-to-play player, so...
Yeah, but these were, it was like, you get your gold back on 4 wins, so like I was just like straight earning money, earning in-game currency like faster than normal playing Scion drafts.
Yeah, well, that's what fueled my second draft. My first one, I went 7-1. I was like, oh, this is great. I made extra money and ran another one. Oh, wait, no. Actually, I remember I did get about 4 of them.
Because you just kept winning?
Or at least breaking even.
Yeah.
Once I lost money on my last run, I was like, all right, I've had my fun. I got to get back to saving gold for Enter the Arcanum.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think it's great.
Fun.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I really appreciate Direwolf for doing it. I think they're awesome. So keep up the good work, guys. You guys are great. All right. Without further ado, then we're gonna go ahead and dive into the cards. I will have them on the screen if you are watching / listening the YouTube version of this. Yeah, you'll just see the cards on the screen so you can follow along with us. But we'll be going down in same order that they're found in game client. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. First up is catalyze. This is I'm not even gonna bother with rarity, but it's a spell for 2 red. Reads discard a card to draw 2 cards. So you break even. You're playing this and the card you discard, and you're drawing 2. So you're just losing power for the turn. Each unit, weapon, or spell drawn this way gets double damage. So we're already seeing quite a bit of this on the ladder, at least I am. But just to get the ball rolling, John, our veteran, why don't you go ahead and take point on this one? Where are you at on catalyze?
Yeah, I like this card a lot. It doesn't really force you to like do a lot of brewing to make it good. Like you can just kind of slot it into a lot of unit based decks, and it'll kind of be okay. Especially if you're uh, playing factions that normally don't have a lot of good card draws / selection. Like this can fit right into like a mostly aggressive or mid range ish Stone Scar type list. Um, Skycrag, I immediately tried messing with it with like Spellcrag stuff, and it was pretty sweet there. Like that's just a solid card. I think you can build around it a little bit, but it doesn't really. I think anyone can see the value in a card like this.
Yeah, what was it? Man, I would have said the name of the card 20 times, but now that I have to say it, I forgot. The 5 mana or 5 power draw from your void,
Sorcery?
and they get, was it?
Prodigious Sorcery?
There you go, that one. Is that where you kind of comboed with that, so you even get the spells that you discarded back?
Uh, well, that one that can like it's just like basically having kind of more copies of sorcery in your deck in some respects, right? Like
Yeah,
obviously you don't
exactly.
always draw the bolts or the torches off the catalyze, but it's just that deck you're usually just trying to turn through your card. It's like so much card draw usually anyway,
Mm-hmm.
and this has some upside. So yeah, it was just like that's a deck I've played a lot, so it was just kind of it felt really cool, kind of having a new way to give my burn spells double damage. Like normally, like certain draws, it was like a much faster win con.
Do you think there's some viability to this in a weapon deck, like an armory deck, or not really? I mean, armory's already on the downfall because there's just
Maybe.
too much incidental hate, but
Yeah, like I mean, I know you just love armory. Like I think it's worth trying to brew a little bit, like because there's also like weapon reanimating is kind of a thing, right? If I'm not mistaken. There's some cards that kind of care about that kind of stuff.
I mean, you could one shot somebody if you put this on the armament, right? And they don't have any creatures. That's 12 and 12. Oh, you almost one shot them. That's kind of busted. But I mean, I see what you're saying. Like honestly, this card is such low impact or low cost to have in any deck. I think if red is anywhere near your primary color, I think you do just run this. Maybe not a complete 4 of, but I mean, you pitch your power late in the game, draw some gas, and it's even more potent. It seems like a
Yeah,
winner, like you said, in aggro decks and mid range decks, and in uh spell decks, not control. I guess control really doesn't want it because you're gonna have a lot more answers than you are gonna be aggressive
right.
cards. Quick question, and I probably already know this, but so if you draw Brell with this, Brell is the only thing that gets double damage, not her weapon, correct?
Yeah, because that weapon is
Mm.
like a separate
Yeah,
specific thing that's like a
yeah.
summon thing.
That's what I thought. It just popped into my head because I was thinking Armory and Jund is my favorite, so or Ambition. So, all right, Rich, what do you think about old Catalyze?
It's a very exciting, fun card for me because aggro is where my heart and home is. Aggro player at base, so I mean one of my favorite things to do is just pitch Nico with it, and I'm gonna bring him back anyway, so it's practically a free discard there. I think it's at its best when you're utilizing the discard aspect, especially something like think it's called Send a Message.
Mhm.
I think it's like 5 power, double shadow. Make the opponent discard and sack a unit. It's just so good.
Yeah, if you're
I'm a
using like all the angles, of the card, it obviously is even better. If you care about the things going to your void, as well as like the double damage.
Yeah, most def.
it's great. It's the first thing I started playing around with when I cracked it open.
Same.
Well, I mean, it's the lowest barrier of entry, right? Once again, going back to what John said, the card doesn't ask much of you to be included in the deck, so that's always a nice part. You know, they made it double red. I think that's the hardest part about it. And
Mm-hmm.
influence in Eternal, the way it's designed, isn't the most difficult thing. So, sweet. All right. Nice. So, John, it's been such a long time, man. Do we give these things grades? No,
Nah,
right? Yeah. Okay. All right. Just wanted to
no,
make
we just
sure.
kind of talk about
Yeah.
them.
Fair. All right.
We like them or
Next.
don't like them.
Next up was a card that was previewed on the last tournament. Well, and man, I like this card. Rickety Ram card. I think it's great, man. So one thing I do like about Eternal, like they're not afraid to go a little goofy with cards. And yeah, this card totally is. Rickety Ram card. The artwork is just absolutely fantastic. It's a 4/1 Grenadin engine for 3 red. When Rickety Ram card attacks, play a 1/1 hook bot with taunt attacking. I love those style effects. I mean, it's a little annoying, but sometimes, right, when you're just like sacrificing a dude, but at the same time, it's glorious. And yeah, 1/1 a hook bot is literally just a 1/1 with taunt. And for those of you that don't know, this unit must be blocked. So if they have a blocker, it will essentially, it's a way to save Ram Cart in combat, which I like. And
Or
then
another
it kind of,
unit.
huh?
Or another attacking unit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
true. Yeah, true story. Yeah. And then,
what you want to across the line.
plays really well into combat tricks, which obviously is a more limited thing than constructed, so that may be a tipping point for this thing. And then Entomb, so when it dies, play a hook bot. So value all across the board with this little guy. Plays into some sacrifice shenanigans a little bit. Pretty much what John said, though. I think the biggest aspect of this is to get in some damage and protect some of your other guys. I feel like it may be a more aggressive card, though it doesn't have charge. It is costed. It's a 4 power for 3. So I don't know. I like this card. That being said, I don't know what deck wants it. So sending it over to you first, Rich. What do you think about Rickety Ramcart?
I mean, I think it's a cute card. It's full of flavor. I don't think it's correct, but flavor wise, I think it should have charge just because it's on a ramming card. But
Charge and reckless, maybe even.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
or even have like stipulation, like if you have another Grenadin, it gets charged. You know what I mean? Something.
Yeah.
yeah. But as much as I like it from a flavor aspect, I don't think it's quite playable yet. I mean, maybe in a Tesseract
The only
deck.
thing I
Big
see,
stretch.
like, I wonder if, like, I haven't really brewed much for Expedition yet, obviously, with the Throne Tournament this weekend. But, like, maybe, we've been playing a lot of, like, creation decks for obvious reasons later in the set review. And I wonder if this might make it, at least I want to try it, like, in a deck like that for Expedition, right? Like,
Yeah,
that deck likes it when you're going wide, and, like, this could just, like, help like with that whole strategy, honestly. Like, I don't know, I haven't really explored it yet, but I think it might make the cut there.
yeah. The hardest part is it just being a 3 cost, right? There's so many good 3 drops in Eternal that it's definitely the barrier of entry there is pretty high. You got a lot to compete with, unfortunately, and this one just isn't powerful enough.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
that's a good point, though. I definitely agree. I do think the fact that it's charging down the rails in the photo, as well as, or the artwork, as well as it having Ramcart in its name, I definitely feel like it should have, at the very least, stipulated charge. Like either you pay more, pay 2, or pay 1 and it gets charged, and or some kind of, hey, you had to blast one of your opponent's creatures first or something.
Maybe this one will be first in line for a buff.
Yeah, true. Maybe so.
Possibly.
All right. Next up is Chizus. Have we heard? I know who it
Chisway?
is. That's one. Chisway? Oh, I like that.
chisway.
Yeah, okay, cool. That's was it the Skycrag 6?
Yeah, he's one of them.
Our own Power Rangers. Chisway's Masterpiece is a +8/+0 weapon for 5 red. Warcry 2, summon. The wielder gets quick draw this turn. So very interesting card. 5, you're paying 5 for 8 damage plus 2 stats, which I mean isn't horrible. Quick draw allows it to win in combat, but it doesn't give overwhelm. So this, I mean, it could definitely get in a ton of damage, and it could also just be chump blocked. It doesn't put anything on the back end as far as toughness goes, so the creature is just as vulnerable the next turn as it was before. This plays really poorly into your opponent having open power. Yeah, this one feels a little too cute to me. Even if you once again slap double damage by drawing it with catalyze, it doesn't give overwhelm. But I guess you could have flyers, right? So I don't know, John, where are you at on this masterpiece?
Yeah, like it seems powerful, but it's like a little too risky for my blood. You know,
Yeah,
Yeah,
especially for
I'm not a
5.
fan
too
either.
expensive. You're setting yourself up to get blown out. I think.
Rich, what
It's
about
really
you?
classy. Like I'm sure there's some players that are just like looking at this that cannot wait to play it. Right? Like this will speak to some people, I think.
I mean, it's no persuader.
Yeah,
Yeah.
persuasion is like that's like a little better because it can kind of replace itself and deal damage like before the opponent can even respond, right?
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
get like when you hit the opponent triggers and it's
So
my
this is-
boo. One of my
Yeah,
that's
persuader set a high bar of what a good weapon is.
Yeah, I just don't see the upside to this is my issue, you know? Like, I mean, 8 power is a lot, right? You could definitely take a huge chunk out of your opponent, but you're kind of already in a good position there if you're able to just get in there. So,
Yeah.
It's great.
It's a
If
big
you
if.
consistently slap it on that like 2/1 berserk, unit, but that comes down so early, and this comes down so many turns later. It's like
yeah.
by turn 5, if you're playing a deck with those kind of cards in it, you want your opponent like basically dead already.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you're slapping on like a lifesteal unit as well, it's pretty good, right? You get a good chunk of it's a big life swing. But I mean,
Yeah,
once
but
again, you're just increasing the fact that it doesn't add anything to toughness bugs me because you're just even if you get a good swing in with it, you're still just kind of opening yourself up to getting 2 for 1. And I mean, I guess paying 5 for 8 damage, that's on par, right? I
Yeah,
guess.
you guarantee the damage.
yeah. Man, it's
I mean,
gonna
But a lot of
hurt.
times that's like
if it
chump
works.
plus Warcry 2
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the quick draw lets it get in there if they have, whatever. Let's say they have their one good creature that they have on defense, right? So they either let it die or chump block. But I don't know. Once again, it just there's so many chances of them just having a random 1 or 2 drop just sitting there like, all right, well, this guy's not doing anything, chump. It's like, and then what are you gonna do? Run like combat trick with overwhelm in your deck just to combat? Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't think this one's gonna do a lot of work either.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely thrown.
All right, moving along, we have All Nighter. This is a fast spell for 1 time. Put an enemy unit with cost 2 or less on the bottom of its owner's deck, or create and draw an Apprentice Mage. An Apprentice Mage is the 2/2 for 2 with +1 maximum power. Man, they're kind of, it's interesting. They're adjusting the removal in time a little bit, right? And they're moving away from fight cards and giving it this situational removal stuff where it doesn't kill stuff. It just, bounces it or tucks it into the deck, which sometimes could be even better. And, but they can't just straight up give time, straight up removal, right? It's not in the color. So, I mean, I'm kind of like, for 1, it's not bad, right? It does exactly what you want it to do, which is to kind of counter these aggressive decks that are going to go underneath your ramping. And then if you're going up against a control deck, then you just create a ramp spell. And for 1, it's not too far-fetched to believe as early as turn 3, you can just play this and then play the card. It's fast speed, so you can leave this up And if your opponent doesn't play a 2-drop that you want to get rid of, then you just make the mage. It's later on in the game. You could still kind of bounce something at combat speed because it's easy to leave up. I mean, I don't think this card is a format breaking card, but I like it. I think it's well designed. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with all those points. Like, I think it looks a little better than I think it is, as far as it's like played out for me. Um, Maybe I just haven't found the right deck for it yet. Um, but I don't know. Like, this is the kind of card that's like like whether it's good is dependent both on like the meta decks you're playing more often than not, and your
Yeah,
own
for sure.
your own
For
deck
sure.
composition. So it's like
Hmm.
whether it goes in your deck and is good is like a multifaceted equation, right? So I think there might be a time where this is like quite good. We'll see. Maybe Expedition here in the next month.
Yeah, like for me, this reminds me of Call the Hit, right? It's one power. It gets rid of something cheap. Sometimes, I mean, obviously, it can kill like a Roland or forgot what it's called now, but the 2/4 flyer that gives you armor and draws you a card in Combre. So there's definitely an adjustment, right? 2 cost unit versus a 2 power creature. Essentially, there is a difference there, but this turns into ramp, that turns into power. So I think it reminds me of that. It's interesting because there's sometimes that they play a 3/2 onto that Call the Hit can't kill, and you're like, gosh darn it. But then I can imagine them, once again playing something like a Roland that this card can't get rid of either. So it's definitely got its cost, but I don't know. I think you're 100% right though. It's definitely meta based. If you're not seeing a very aggressive 2-drop heavy meta, then this card really isn't going to do too much for you. Rich?
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys say. I do think it's a very interesting card since it can be very fluid depending on, whether you're on the draw or you're going first, how you play that out from your hand and how your opponent does it. It's very interesting. I I compared it more to Defiance myself. They're both 1 cost, monocolor, 2 options.
Mm-hmm.
Defiance obviously being better because it protects you from both ends, but like you said earlier, time's not really all about just straight up removal. So I think it's fitting and color wheel wise, but definitely
Yeah,
not a bad card.
yeah. Time just stomps you with its dinosaur hooves.
Yeah, big butts.
Already. You know, uh, it might also be a good card for just a newer player that doesn't have the expansive, collection or whatnot. So,
Yeah.
just just something to overall think about. Next up, we have Arcanum Janitor. This is a 0/1 Sentinel for 4 time. Summon, put a card in a void, so yours or your opponent's, on the bottom of its owner's deck. Arcanum Janitor gets plus attack and plus health equal to its cost. So, I mean, an expensive anti-reanimator strategy. I guess you can. I mean, I don't know. This isn't really worth a card in a control deck, right?
It's
I
a
mean, this is
combo.
literally just like a market card for reanimator strategies to me. I mean, it is a card. It doesn't have to be a creature. So if your opponent is running something like that we were talking about earlier, the gosh darn it, what's the name of the sorcery again, John? Studies, tutoring, something.
What prodigious sorcery?
There you go, sorcery. Right? I mean, it gets rid of that, right? But God, 4 is expensive. Yeah, I don't. I think this card is maybe a market card at best. I'm not super excited about it. What do you think, Rich?
I think it'll be good for some great meme decks.
Yeah,
The first thing I thought of was getting Witching Hour into your own void and then putting Witching Hour on the bottom of your deck, and you got 20 some odd worth of stats right there for you.
And you draw it with catalyze. So you pitch Witching Hour with catalyze, drawing Janitor, and then drop a Behemoth Janitor.
Yeah, you just gotta find a way to get it overwhelmed, and then you got full circle.
There you go. If you guys do something busted with Arcanum Janitor, post a screenshot of it in Discord. Love to see it.
yeah. It's also it's like a screamable card, right? It's all it could you could also just kind of have like a Sentinel Reanimator type deck where it's like it kind of can serve as extra copies of Stirring Sands, right? Like
Mhm.
just take the expensive. You might have a glut of expensive Sentinels in your void, and you're not going to be reanimating all those, right? So you could just summon this with a huge stat increase on 4. Like, I could see it being okay in a deck like that too. But yeah, I think it's more of like it wants to be janked with some combo.
So, quick question for you, John. If this thing had flat ambush, do you think no ambush wouldn't trigger on a spell cast? Never mind. I was saying like if you can do this in response to someone going into their void, then I wonder if this would be playable. But I mean, once again,
Yeah,
we
I think with a card like this, like that's like an incidental use of it, right? Like if you're putting this in your deck, you want to have a plan for it with your own stuff.
yeah, fair enough. All right, so unfortunately, Arcanum Janitor is gonna stay cleaning up the hallways by itself. Next up is Talir Head Mistress. This is a 6/6 hero scion for 6 time, charge, and then +2 maximum power. When Talir hits the enemy player, replenish your power. So that's kind of neat, right? You potentially can you play her on 6 if your opponent has an open board, because once again, she doesn't have overwhelm, so she can be chump blocked. But let's say your opponent has an open board, they didn't tap out, leaving up the I don't know, I guess victimless crime wouldn't work, so that's kind of nice. But the annihilate. So you play this on 6. Your power goes up to 8 depleted. You swing in, you hit him for 6, and then you have 8 power to work with for the rest of the turn, which also means that you could potentially leave up protection for Talir. So yeah, this card doesn't seem bad. Like I'm not super excited either about it. Is this more of a control card, John? Is this kind of like your finisher for control decks?
I don't think so. I don't think this is really a good card, honestly. Like I this was like everywhere during Scion drafting, and pretty quickly, like you came to expect the charging Talir. So you would just hold up your Annihilate when it was coming to be that time, right?
Hmm.
So in my mind, if it's like that easy to telegraph and counter in a Scion draft format, like how could a card like this ever do well in constructed, right? Like if there was ever a meta deck playing this, like everyone would just be ready for it. Like with some answers or whatever, they would see it coming like so far away because it costs 6. Like, and it has to connect to matter. Like in Scion, it was cool, like because you don't always have the answer or whatever, even if you're expecting it, but yeah, you can still just chump block it so they can't do something busted like Talir attack hit you and then play like Diangolo might drawing 6 cards like same turn.
Gotcha. What do you think, Rich?
I don't think it's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a vanilla card with charge, really. I think at that stage in the game, I mean, +2 max power probably isn't gonna do a whole lot for you. But I mean, it's not nothing either. I probably see Expedition play. I don't play a whole lot of Expedition myself, but I mean, it's a 6/6 for 6 and charge. So I mean, that's not awful. It's something. It's definitely not nothing, but
It also doesn't like
it's not exceptional either.
like the it only replenishes power, right? So like it still only goes up to your like normal max power. It doesn't like do anything cool like with stacking from 5 turns or anything like that. One row. It can't get you to like some insane number by itself, really.
Right. I mean, I think the coolest thing you could do with that is, pay off your debt with it, but
Like that is mostly like an Argenport mechanic.
yeah.
So I don't know if this
I
will be
mean,
right
so
there.
you could the next turn if she survives, you could slap a persuader on her, right? Play a 4-drop. Like what's a good 4-drop? You could play Psychalis. There you go. You play Psychalis, right? So now you're swinging in for, let's see, persuaders +3, so that's 9 +5 14. Then she'll trigger, get in for 2, replenish your power. Then you like pump both of them, either giving them double damage or pump them both at combat speed or fast speed. And then when she hits, she replenishes your power. You could just gloat over your opponent as they die. Yes, there you go. Boom, broke her. All right, moving on. We have Campus Security. This is a 1/3 Minotaur soldier for 1 green. +2 strength while you or Campus Security are wielding a weapon. Pay 4 to give Campus Security invulnerable to damage and Warcry this turn. So, kind of a Voltron-y card. I mean, let me see. Pay 4 to give... So, correct me if I'm wrong, John, because I haven't played with this card yet, but you could activate that 4 at fast speed, correct?
No.
You can't? Oh, gosh.
No,
All right.
I think like one card in the game that lets you do it might only be like certain things that are fast. Like this is not an ultimate. No, like I don't think this can ever be activated at fast speed.
Got you. So it's definitely just some type of weapon heavy deck, right? Where you make this a reasonable swing. I mean,
I don't know if this is just ever really good enough. Like maybe in some Expedition Minotaur deck, but like man, if this was an Oni, I think it would be good enough for like thrown Onis.
yeah, yep. Where you have that weapon synergy automatically
Yeah.
built into it. Yeah, I agree.
It's just a Minotaur.
Zanoni.
Maybe in another, if like soldiers is a thing in another format, and this is there, maybe.
Remind me,
That was
what
the thing.
is it? Jitsu? What's the oh man, gosh, I can't believe I forgot her name. The 2/1 Oni that puts a +1 flaming inspiration song +1 overwhelm on Jizu. Okay.
Yeah,
Is it she's only on Onis, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
gotta
that
be
would
in.
work. Because I mean, it does cost 1, right? So anytime you can make a 3/3 for 1 power, you're kind of getting there. And I guess it doesn't have. It says you or Campus Security. So yeah, it's either you're carrying it or yeah. So I mean, I guess it works with chisway.
Yeah, but that's an Oni. So it's like
Yeah. I'm just trying to see like because there's really no because all the buffs from Minotaurs are just buffs. They're not weapons.
yeah, but I mean, just that's another way to give it like plus attack stats, right? Like
Yeah.
Minotaur stuff.
It's
So, like,
just
maybe,
man, 4 is so much, dude. Oh.
yeah, I don't think you're ever really like active. This was in Scion, and like I tried it there, and like it plays about I think as you'd expect, which is to say like you're basically never activating this ability.
Yeah.
You gotta
Unless
like
you
develop like a 4-drop or something.
And unless you have like a very low to the ground, and it's just something you do when you're at a cast because you're it's turn 4 or 5, and you're probably top decking if you're that that kind of low to the ground deck. But
Yeah, and
that's
your
not
opponent
an ideal situation.
can always just block something else, right? They're like, okay, well, I can't kill this, so I'll just block this instead or whatever. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, fair enough. Unfortunately, Campus Security is close to being a mall cop. Next up is Strict Professor. This is a 3/2 mage for 3 green. When Strict Professor attacks, play Better Than Ever. And I'll look at that in a minute. And then summon, you may silence up to 2 enemy units that cost 2 or less. All right, so Better Than Ever. Each unit
That
you
was our
played.
preview card provided by Old Rich here.
Yeah.
Oh,
that is
yeah,
right.
yeah. Okay, that's right. I remember it now. Each unit you
Very
played
good
this turn gets a random battle skill. Yeah. See, and those type of effects are just going to get worse and worse as Eternal generates more and more battle skills. You know what I mean? Like we already were like, okay, you're low rolling on like Reckless or what was the other one that was bad? Was it Haste? When it's art? No, Haste is always good because it's normally when it comes into play. This is another one that you weren't excited about. I don't remember which one now, but that's fine. Or like Unblockable on a Flyer or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So So when you play it, it obviously gives itself a battle. Oh, no, it's when it attacks.
I
Okay,
think
when
it
it
has
attacks,
cards somehow.
you get a random battle skill. So I think you just kind of, that's just icing on the cake. You just don't really worry about that. But the summon, you may silence up to 2 enemy units that cost 2 or less for a 3/2. So this thing's essentially a 3/2 vanilla.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like bad
Mm,
Valk Enforcer.
and this has to be like a market card, right? Because I mean, silencing two things is kind of relevant, right? But
It can be. It also can be
an
no tech.
absolute,
Like if your opponent just doesn't play
yeah,
2 drops, or the 2 drops are, you know, there because of the stats and don't even have abilities.
yeah, and
when
it's
you're
just not impactful enough on its own to really do a thing.
Like if the meta is nothing but like Dural and Kira again, maybe, but I don't really see that happening
Yeah,
anytime soon.
probably
Um,
gonna run into a bunch of 1/1 dinosaurs to silence, honestly.
yeah, I mean like that ABCDEF deck, has a lot of like 1-2 drops that you might want to silence, but I mean you could also just
play better
like
cards.
Throne play better card. Like this is a Throne deck, so
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just have better ways to deal with that.
yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
if it ever does attack, it's probably not surviving past the first one.
And it's like a mage, so it's like doesn't even go directly in like a battle skill deck because that's usually like unseen.
Or gunslingers.
Yeah, it's like these last 2 cards are kind of annoying to me because of that. It's like they're both like incorrectly typed or whatever. It's like
God, Direwolf, get
I
your
mean the
tribes
flavor's
right.
there for the mini set, but
I
or
mean,
basic cards, dang it.
not really. It could have been an explorer as well.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, that's fine. We won't spend too much time on it. Next up, volatile reaction. This is a spell for 1 blue. Deal 4 damage to an enemy unit and 4 damage to yourself or one of your units. Remind me if I'm. There's no enrage mechanic in Eternal, right? There's nothing like this thing took damage, so rar.
Not that I'm aware of.
Mm, no, not yet.
So you're just paying the iron price for it costing 1 power, and it's slow too.
Yeah, I think this
Eh?
card is Terabad, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a
Yeah, because
bad cast.
I mean, because there was that one we saw in one of these campaigns, right? I forgot what it's called now, like breach the wall or something like that, or break the defenses, where it was like 4 damage at fast speed, but it did 2 to you,
Uh,
right?
Casualties of the Cause or something.
Yeah, and that
Yeah, yeah.
one that one didn't even see play at all either, and that was only 2 damage, and it was fast speed, I think. So this is just, yeah, I just don't
I think
see
that
a
one
world where.
costs like more though, right? Didn't it cost like 3?
No, I thought it was cheap.
Yeah, I can't remember, but yeah, that never saw play. It's like, man, having a unit that can take 4 damage is not a trivial task, right?
Well,
No.
not only that, but I mean, you're kind of opening yourself up to upgrade your opponent's removal as well, right? If they're sitting there with a seer and you have a 4/5 and you're like, cool, I'll just hit my 4/5. They're like, sweet, the seer kills it now.
I guess like, I mean, hitting your face for 4 in a lot of situations is a little sketchy. But I mean, if you're super aggro and you're kind of racing, like maybe this could be okay, but it's also slow, which is like, come on. Sorry, so much downside. Can we at least get a fast one here?
Yeah, for real. I mean, I guess I see what they're saying, right? The fact that you're paying for 1, so if they play a 2/1 on turn 1, you can kill it, and that 2/1 was probably going to get in for 6 or 8 damage, so you're still ahead on damage. But I mean, a 2-drop or a 1-drop that gets 4 damage in is still pretty, like, yeah, and it just, I don't think it's worth the tempo play either. So what, you could play a 3-drop and then kill their 3-drop in the same turn? That's, I don't know. I don't like this card. Rich?
Yeah, if it was fast, right, and you could like play it in response to turn 1 contract dasher, right? Like then yeah, you're like you're kind of okay, but it's slow. So like the thing already hit you for 3.
Yeah. Yep.
Or you could use it in, if it was fast, if they play removal on your unit, you could respond and deal 4 damage to the
There you
unit.
go. Yeah, like a weird devour effect, sure.
Yeah, but unfortunately, that's neither here nor there. I also
Well,
don't think people should play it. I mean,
just like
you
There's
can
not
maybe get
a
one, but I don't like one-ofs in Eternal, honestly, because I'm
there's
making like your
no
kid.
damage reflection spell, right? Oh, you know what this is? This goes in that life swap deck, right? You just blast yourself with this
there
thing
you
like a
go.
bunch of times, and then you swap your life total with your opponent. There you go. That's what it is. Got it. Okay. Fair enough. Next up is Lethry Marauder. Is it an elf? Okay, it is an elf. I was going to say, I was like, the artwork. All right. It is a 3/1 elf warrior for 2 blue. Overwhelm. Summon. You may discard a card to play a 2/1 dark elf, blood hunt, or form bend. And let's go over it. So a dark elf is just simply a 2/1 for 2. Blood hunt, give one of your units killer and scout, and or form bend, transform a unit or relic into an elemental with its strength and health equal to its cost. Man, this card is great.
Yeah, this is a good one.
This card is
So
freaking
good.
awesome. You just
Very
pitch
exciting.
like power you're not using, or your midnight haunting, and it's, man, this is fantastic. I really like this card. It's high attack with overwhelm. It's low cost. You get all 3 modes are relevant. You either get to kill something with killer, you just make another unit, or Formbed gets rid of some utility units, right? Things that are annoying, or a relic that's beating you down. This is a well-designed card.
Yeah, it's all those things. Like this was fun to play in Scion Draft too. And I was shocked like how just getting that extra like 2/1 out tempo wise mattered. Like so I think this one could get there. I haven't seen a deck that really makes it shine yet, but like elves is always kind of almost there. But maybe maybe just a card in any kind of aggro strategy could kind of get there.
Yeah, you're not
I've
wrong.
had a ton of fun with it.
Yeah, it's solid.
Nice.
I've been doing slightly more degenerate things because I have this little pet deck of mine. It's Feln Self Mill aggro-y combo.
Sure.
But I mean, having that deck doesn't have a whole lot of interaction, and Marauder provides that. If I need a turn 2 killer, I can put it on her, or when I cheat out a Shoal Dredger nice and early and then give that killer.
Yeah, and
I,
in a deck like that, you're also able to make use of the discard, right?
oh yeah, excuse me. I recently integrated Vargo after getting beat up by it on ladder, so I've gone turn 2, Marauder, make a 2/1, discard Vargo, and then turn 3 Haunting Scream Vargo.
There you go.
And he sticks around because he doesn't die. And I've created a fantastic dumb board state by turn 3 thanks to Marauder.
Oh, that's preposterous. Yeah, this card is really well designed. This is definitely one of the better designs they've done. I like everything about it.
Yeah.
And you're not wrong, John. It really does feel like elves are just on the cusp of always being like playable, but they just don't get enough tools.
How are they going to make this one like correctly typed and mess up those last cards so much?
Yeah.
One other thing I think is very exciting about Marauder, I think it's like the beginning of a cycle because Styre's Eyes, mono, justice, 2-drop, discard something, has a battle skill, you get 3 options to do something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Roll cycle of
Yeah.
life drops.
Future.
All right, so let's just go ahead and say that the Shadow one's going to be busted, and
Mhm.
the Shadow one lets you what is it? Man, what is it with me and names right now? The Thoughtseize, look at their hand, get rid of a card.
Oh Exploit.
Exploit, there you go. Exploit, annihilate, and devour. There you go. Oh my gosh, that sounds ridiculous. Wait, let's see. So uncommon, uncommon. No, wait, devour is a common. Yeah, well, these are all common, so it can't get exploit because exploits are rare. So pilfer maybe? Pilfer or what's one of the common discard cards? Oh well, that's fine. That's fine. We don't work for Direwolf. We're not gonna give him free ideas.
There you go.
Except for the Scion drafting, adding these to Scion draft. That was great. Good job, guys.
100%.
All right. Next up is Gravity Field. This is a relic for 4 blue. Your most recently played unit has +2/+2 and flying. Blue. When Gravity Field goes to your void. Wait, when Gravity Field goes to your... Oh, if you have double blue influence. Okay.
Mhm.
When Gravity Field goes to your void, the top unit of your deck is flying. It's worth...
Yeah.
I don't know if it's worth 4 though, because like it encourages you to like potentially not play a unit until they kill that one or they kill your relic.
Did you ever play with that site? Uh,
Endless Steps.
yeah, Endless Steps with all the enduring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of when I saw
Like,
this card
I
too.
misplayed, I think, every time I tried to play that stupid site because of that, like, most recently played clause.
Yeah, yeah,
That's too much for me. My brain can't handle it.
yeah. I'm with you. I'm right there with you. Yep. I don't like.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Like, I
Now-
think this is like close to being like a playable card despite the cost. Especially if you can do some interesting stuff with like that discarding, but it's like, I don't know, man. Like, it's like if you're playing this in a deck like with Dural or something like that, and you like happen to do the milling, what if you're attacking with 2 draws, and then the next thing that had flying just gets ditched to the void anyway. It's you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know how often that can really come up.
So, question: this thing is I don't know what the correct term for it is, but it works retroactively as well, right? It doesn't have to be a unit you played after this is on the battlefield. Okay. So you could essentially play this, and the unit that you already have on the battlefield becomes a flyer, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Just, I don't think it changes much. I just wanted to make sure of that. Yeah. Yeah, it's just too risky. I mean, I could definitely. I know me. I know I can't play this because I'll 100% like get in there and be like, oh, okay, cool, I could do this, and then I'll play this guy, and then this will happen, and then play it and be like, oh crap, my guy lost flying. Like,
Right.
Yep.
I personally am not a fan of cards like this because I just don't have the brain power to play it correctly. Yeah, you make a very good point. The enduring steps for sure, or endless steps. So, yeah, I don't, and man, 4. That's quite a bit to pigeonhole your stuff. I mean, what you play this, and what's the married couple, the 2 giants that yeah, is that what you do? You play them and then play this, and now your opponent just can't get to you.
I mean that's something, but with a card we're gonna see in the future with a lot of relic hate going on, I don't think that's really sustainable right now.
Yeah, no. All right, Gravity Field is not making the cut. Next up is Event Horizon. This is a spell for 2 shadow. Unleash, and which of course means every time you play it, you get a copy of it in your hand until end of turn. Sacrifice a relic to draw 2 cards. So there is a Relic Matters sacrifice deck, right? It's showed up from time to time, mainly in limited, but it has been a thing in constructed. Oh, that's what I was thinking about Gravity Field. That's right. If yeah, that was the other question I wanted to ask real quick, retroactively. When the cards that care about relics go into the graveyard or the void, does this card count? No, right? All of them, they have to be from play.
No,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
don't.
just the way gravity field is worded, as long as you have double primal, it just has to go to the void.
No. I mean for like the cards that care about relics
No,
going to the void.
no, like like that the in the current draft format, the 1/4, like it doesn't have to have been in play. Like if you manage to just discard a relic with Rivet's Wrench or something,
Okay,
it'll
cool.
still trigger him.
Yeah, because I know
Yeah.
like Consuming Greed has to actually eat the relic, but I
Yeah,
wasn't
that's
sure if
the
like other
sacrifice a
cards.
relic to
Yeah,
do the.
yeah, that is the one cool thing about Eternal, that a lot of milling counts as drawing and discarding and stuff like that. So there's a lot of hidden synergies there. It was just something I was thinking about. Okay, so I mean, so there are potential decks where this can go into, right? You can put it into a ramp deck where you ramp with relics, and then later on when you don't need the ramp anymore, like you've got enough natural power, you can start turning them into cards, and you may not necessarily go down a card if you can cast this twice off the unleash. Right, you're not necessarily playing this early, but I don't know. Is this too clunky?
I think this is mostly like a cheeky combo card of sorts. I've tried it in like a relatively fair, just relic spam, Aurelian deck, and it was like interesting, but like kept almost decking myself before I could like kill my opponent. I, you know, if you're playing like what are all those relics like bottled insight, waystone gate type relics.
Yep.
Yeah, the
This
ones that
was
give you
like
something when
another
they get destroyed. Yeah.
enabler for those kind of cards. That's interesting. It's like pretty potent in something like that. Um, but a lot of times you don't really care about drawing more because, well, one of those cards draws cards anyway, and like you want your giants to get through. So like something like lobotomy affecting the board immediately, like killing their best unit while helping you deploy your giant. Like
So much more useful.
yeah, it just seems like those kind of effects are a little more useful in the moment. Like this one can help you dig for other stuff. Like maybe you just have to tweak your deck a little bit. I think this is like interesting build around.
Mm-hmm. Rich, anything to
Yeah.
add before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, it being a two cost card with Unleash, I think is a little scary. I mean, I don't think it's, something to worry about right now, but, probably in the future of Eternal as they print, more relics and, buffs and nerfs happen, it'll probably do something dumb one day, would be my
Yeah,
guess. I'm
they,
going to
they
be
can
keeping
never
a close
they can
eye
never
on it.
put the card again. Like what's the charging fire that takes relics? Like
Oh, Flame Stoker, is that it?
no. From the mini set like a few sets ago, it was like they nerfed it to where
Oh, the Minesweeper, Deep Diver.
yeah, the diver, yeah,
League Explorer.
the explorer, yeah. So like they can never have a card just spamming relics like that ever again.
Yeah.
Like that one's already nerfed, but now they really can never do that again.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because that's actually one of the things I liked, that people that were able to kind of capitalize in it, making relics every turn versus
Yeah, I
just a
agree.
straight damage. I thought that was kind of neat that front side of it, you just capitalize on making a bunch of relics that do extra damage, and you're just kind of aggroing your opponent out. And then the flip side, the people that thought outside the box was like, okay, how can we take advantage of it making a relic every turn? So I thought that was neat.
Oh yeah.
It's unfortunate that one had to get nerfed, but
Yeah.
it was necessary, I think.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Next up in our last monocolor card is Mischievous Student. Mischievous Student is a 1/3 mage for 2 shadow, ambush, summon. You may swap a unit's strength and health. Doesn't have to be your opponent's, doesn't have to be yours. It could be any of them. It is instant speed or ambush, and I mean, so we've seen this spell in play plenty of times. Sometimes it makes play in limited, never really constructed, but you do get a body with it this time. That being said, I still don't think it's worth making the cut and constructed because, I mean, it just isn't. So, I mean, I think this card's cute. It's a well designed, but the flavor's there. The cost seems fair. Everything works out okay. I mean, the thing is, because you can even swap itself, right? Bare minimum floor on this guy becomes a 3/1 and then blocks their 3/3. So there's that.
Yeah, but there's like, the 3/1 ambush that like lets you steal your opponent's best card in their market, for example.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
like so much more powerful. And it's an elf. This one's a mage.
Yeah. I mean, the flip side to that, John, right, is the fact that that card is a rare, I believe, and an older card. So this at least accommodates that slot for newer players that may not have a big collection yet.
Maybe.
I mean, I don't think you're playing it. I think it's not powerful enough. It's a well-designed card, but not every card is going to be a banger, and this one's just not one.
This one would be okay in a normal draft format. This one was a sad card in Scion. This was in Scion drafting as well. It was just like it was not impactful enough, like ever.
Yeah, I agree with everything. It's
like
just just a normal card.
Yep. All right, let's move on then. Next up, which looks absolutely amazing in premium, Collision Course. This is a spell for 3 Arcanum. Inscribe, love it already. Give a unit +3/+3, taunt, and overwhelm this turn. I mean, yeah, I think it's fine, right? Early in the game, you can inscribe its fixing, its power, and then later in the game, it does the two things. It does all 3 things that you want it to do, right? I can't complain about what it's doing. It +3/+3 is a decent size. It makes it to where a unit that wasn't able to attack can attack. It gives taunt, so you can either force a kill you can essentially remove one of your opponent's units that's in the way, or put it on a smaller creature to let your bigger guys get through. And then putting on your bigger guy, the overwhelm makes a difference. And then tertiary, like the +3/+3 could make it to where you put it on your 1/1, it's a 4/4, and now it kills something anyways while letting your other guys through. I like this card. I mean, once again, I don't think this is a meta breaking card, but I like it. I think it's solid. I could see this being like a 2 of in Rakano decks as fixing, and then just kind of additional. It takes the spot of, obviously it can't take the spot of an actual power in Eternal because you're minimum 25, but maybe where you would run the cargoes or the seek powers or something like that, this would be a 1 or 2 of inclusion. I don't know. What do you think, Rich?
I like it. I've used it a little bit, and I've always been happy to cast it when I need to. And I mean, obviously, Ricano, it's going to be an aggressive deck. I kind of think of it like I guess Shugo Standard was the red power that would transform into a combat trick, and that was playable for quite a while, some time ago. And this is cheaper than that, for a slightly smaller buff, but you are never forced into it transforming if you actually want to hold up the power, or you draw it later and you're missing a pip instead of being forced into a combat trick. So I think it's a pretty decent card. Probably find some more room for it somewhere.
John?
I don't have a lot to hide. I've played with it. It seemed pretty solid. Like, even though it's like slow, it like doesn't really matter because of the combination of effects. It's like it's really nice. It's like I think it's balanced, but sometimes it just lets you eat something like just barely while pushing damage and stuff. Like, and it's a power. Yeah, I like it. I think this will find a home, like at least as a 2 of, like kind of like you said.
All right.
Yeah.
Next up, Arcanum Corridors. This is a relic for 3 Combre. When you play a unit, it is invulnerable to damage until the start of your next turn. Summon, play slow. Slow, double the cost of a card in the enemy player's hand. Man, I want to like this card because it definitely plays well into Combre, where you just want to play beaters and have them swing. I don't know if the combination of those two things are worth a 3-cost relic, right? Because it effectively does nothing. And it's only until until the start of your next turn. So they can't kill something at the end of your turn, and they can't kill something on their turn. Now, actually, I take that back. It's not indestructible. It's invulnerable to damage. So they could still board wipe it. Yeah, I'm off of it. I don't like it.
Like, it lets you block with your dudes that you play every turn without
Yeah.
worrying too much about combat. But other than that, what is this? Occasionally, slow can be impactful, but sometimes it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah,
I
I don't
I don't
like
like
it.
this card.
It's a really expensive slow that, I mean, just gives you free chump blockers, temporarily,
Yeah.
assuming they don't, use actual removal. Yeah, I think that's like a bad position to put yourself in, is, depending on the combat, to stop the damage. And hope your
Yeah.
opponent has nothing.
And slow is very particular on what it's good with, right? It's not going to help against an aggressive deck. It really, what you want slow to do is essentially double something that costs 5 or 6, where now it's borderline unplayable. So,
Right.
all right. Yeah, let's move on. Next up is Celestial Discovery. This is a fast spell for 3 Elysian. Draw 2 cards. If you have 2 relics, draw 2 cards on top. Draw 2 of the top 4 cards of your deck instead. Put the rest on the bottom. I mean, baseline, pay 3, draw 2 at fast speed, so that's fine, right? We're comfortable with running that. And then it's got the upside where it lets you dig a little bit deeper and get some card selection. I think this card's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fine.
it's playable.
Yeah, exactly. It very much it's got that wisdom of the elders. I mean, it's exactly that. But
Yeah,
it's fine. You're gonna play it. You're happy to play it. It's got some upside if you're a Legion, So you're still gonna play it early because it still always just draws you 2 cards, and then later in the game, if you're doing the relic thing, then you get some added bonus. Yeah, this card's fine.
It's like a good card that doesn't have a good home yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think, the relics part is, even, very necessary to play it, because, I mean, if you're in a Legion and you're in like some 3 faction build, then you don't have to play Wisdoms of the Elders and worry about the double primal pip on that, and having one time and one primal, for me at least, feels easier than trying to get double pips in something when I'm running like 3-4 factions or whatnot. So I think it has some upsides. You don't have to worry about the relics. It's just a nice, cherry on top if you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Alrighty. Fair enough. Celestial Discovery, you are solid. Next up, Containment Sphere. This is a relic for 1 Xenon. Inscribe. Units can't leave voids. Summon. The enemy player discards the top unit of their deck. I mean, I don't even think... I think... Obviously, this is a market card, if at all, and I don't even think it's that good for that either. I mean, someone discarded the top card of their deck. So, I mean, you're waiting for...
unit.
Or top... Okay, top unit. Okay. All right. Yeah, good point.
Like, it's an inscribe, two faction inscribe, and it's a relic for 1. So, like, I've already brewed with this. Like, I did a relic spam deck. This was actually like a solid enabler for that because of the 1-cost relic. That's also a power. It's like sometimes you can just play it and draw with Event Horizon or whatever. Like, I think this is like an interesting inscribe card. I think it might find a home with. It's probably not in any tier 1 deck or anything, but it's kind of fun actually. It's just like an interesting combination of things on it. Like, it's pretty unique, and it almost has enough going on, right? I think it's fun.
But like on this one, you want by default to just inscribe it, right? Or no?
Do what?
But by default, you more often want to inscribe this than anything else, right? Or no?
Yeah, like if it's in your opening hand, probably.
Mm.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you're not
if
losing out
you're if
on.
you're a Relic Matters type of deck,
Yeah,
it's interesting. Like
fair.
I don't like I wasn't really playing it with any regard to the units can't leave voids or like even the summon effect. Although that's like actually if you play like one or two of these early, like your opponent like never gets to draw like their units. Like if they kept a sketchy opening hand, like that could actually do something. But really, it was just like the cheap relic that's a power kind of effect.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I wanted it for.
Gotcha. Rich,
Yeah, I
anything to
mean,
add?
it's not very exciting for me, but I mean, it serves a purpose. It's something for justice decks, or Xenon based decks to have some void hate since you are not playing Gavel. Or this would have been real fun to have before Reanimator got the big nerf. Well, actually, that only stops units. That doesn't even affect Contra, so I take that back. But yeah. If you're doing a build around like John mentioned, that's probably worth a home then because you can make use of it being a one drop relic. But it's probably just a bad substitute if you're just trying to limp by without Gavel as an option.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, Mila, 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 Mila. Let's go, Mila. Mila
Malay.
Exchange, huh?
Mila sounds good.
Yeah. Mila Exchange Student is a Tinker Mage 1/1 for 4 Huru. Inscribe, summon, Winvoke. Is it still Winvoke and Constructed, John? No, right? It's just Invoke and Constructed?
Uh, I don't know. It still feels pretty Winvokey to me.
All right. Winvoke Huru. So either a green or a Justice or Primal card. When you play a spell, Mila gets +3/+3 this turn. I mean, I like the sum of its parts, right? You get a card right off the bat off of it, potentially one that you could really use. You can inscribe her if you need to. She plays really well with instant speed well, maybe not counter spells, but draw, excuse me, removal, counter, like, it just, paying 4 power for a 1/1, it's just such a liability. And like, what is she gonna do against aggro decks? Like, they can't attack into her, but you also have to untap with her. I don't like, I want to like her, but I don't know. I mean, she goes great with bounce effects, right? If you could sit there and just keep playing her and then like bounce, bouncers to keep Winvoking. I mean, obviously bouncing her defeats the purpose. You can't block. I guess you could. I don't know. I'm talking myself in circles now because I'm like, if you bounce her, you get the +3/+3, but it doesn't do anything because she doesn't block or she blocked already. My brain's starting to hurt. John, save me.
Yeah, like you said, I like the sum of its parts. I don't know. I've tried to brew with this a little bit. Guru control, like Enthroned, didn't seem very well positioned. I haven't really tried it yet in Expedition, but like maybe, or maybe one day Enthroned as well. But I don't know. I've definitely seen like Control Master the Bergen playing this as well. Like he saw the same thing in it that I did. I think like oh, this could get there, but with the creation project like aggro meta, it was pretty rough out there.
Rich, did we lose you?
Oh, sorry. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
My bad.
It's all good. It's
Yeah,
the way of podcasting. At some point, you always forget. You put yourself on mute.
yeah. But yeah, I'm not very excited about Mila. Um, just like you said, all the downsides, a 1/1 for 4, or even waiting till 5 to play it so you can leave up some protection or something if you're in Huru Kira, but I feel like, and you have to do it like, well, no, you don't have to do it pre-combat, but I don't know. I'm low on it. Maybe someone can find some way to make it good, but it probably won't be me.
Alrighty. Next up, we have Direwood Pack. This is a 3/3 wolf for 4 felon. Aegis, Deadly Inscribe. When another unit dies, Direwood Pack gets +1/+1. Man, I really want to like this card. I really do. I just don't know if it makes the cut. Like, it's got protection on itself. It's deadly, so it's always going to trade for something. It's got Inscribe, so in a pinch, oh man. And then it just gets bigger if you're a removal deck, which felon decks typically are. And it just says another unit. It doesn't have to be your opponent's or your. It could be either. Like, you can kill your opponent's units, and or you can be a sacrifice deck to fuel this thing, which felon does do. And it goes great with quick draw because it has deadly. Oh, man, I really want to like this card, but for some reason I don't think it's gonna make an impact. Oh man, Rich, what do you think?
I'm still trying to work with this card. I wanna been trying to fit it into my Feln self mill deck. And something that was a pleasant surprise, even though I read, when another unit dies, it didn't dawn on me until I was playing with that it means the opponent's units too, which was fantastic. I had like I think it was like an 8/8. It's nigh unstoppable at that point. It's great. So, but I've had some other times where he doesn't do much, or he's I top deck him and he's out there all by himself, so he can't grow. So he's not faultless, but I'm still trying to find a way to really maximize his potential. Just a really fun card to play with all around, honestly.
Fair enough, John.
Yeah, I agree, and also haven't found a great home for it. But man, it's just like the fact that it's an inscribe, it's just so solid. Like surely this will see some play, right?
Oh, a fun fact: grabbing Direwood Pack with Grenahan when you need power, it feels really good.
Oh, sick. I like that. I like that. Yeah, oh man, I like the artwork on it. Everything seems good. It seems just a little odd, honestly, if I could flavor wise that it doesn't have Unleash, just because it's a pack and that
Right?
like it fits, it checks all the boxes for what they put Unleash on, right? All of them were like mobs or packs or teams and this and that. And a wolf pack is perfect flavoring, you know. I mean, and this thing costing 4, right? I don't think it would have been completely broken to give it Unleash. So I don't know.
I agree. That would have been sweet.
Yeah, so there you go, Direwolf. Maybe in the next set of buffs, just for flavor buffs, right? I mean, I guess the broken thing is that you could no, even then. Yeah, okay, I could see why, because of the Inscribe. I think that's why they couldn't give it Unleash, because then you just always play your 5th power on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, not your 5th power, because you already played your power for that turn, but I guess, like, afterwards, right? It always... Yeah, so I guess that would be, like, the slightly broken part of it. Man.
Whatever.
Yeah. All right. Next up, a card that is all over everywhere. The Creation Project. This is a relic for 3 creation, so fire, time, justice. Your units have +1/+1. At the start of your turn, the top card of your deck gets warp this turn. All right, talk to me, Rich. Talk to me about Creation Project.
Oh man, there's so much to say, but I'm pretty sure everyone out there has felt this card's wrath at some point. It's just, I mean, it's a bonkers card. It's a cheaper Xenon Obelisk that gives you pseudo card draw if things on the top of your deck line up well enough. especially if you stack more creation projects on top of more creation projects, so you get like 2 warps since it passes down to the next card. Like it's just, and there's so many different builds you can take with it. I've seen like abundance builds, non-abundance aggressive builds. I've seen mid-range control. Like it's just literally everywhere.
John, what about you, buddy?
Yeah, this is a sweet card. I think it really enables archetypes that couldn't successfully exist until this card came out. So I think this is like a big win for Direwolf, kind of pushing some new archetypes. But yeah, it's another one of these cards that's just like it's so good and also so popular, and like it doesn't really even ask that much of you from a deck building perspective, that it's become like instantly everywhere, right? We'll see how it does in the tournament this weekend. Um, whether it'll be like overrepresented on like day 2 or anything, that remains to be seen. But I think it's like a fun card, but it's just like when you see it like over and over and over, it can get a little grating, I guess. But I think it's a sweet card.
And
Yeah,
it's in the
like
right
Rich
colors
said,
too.
yeah. I mean, like this is the creation colors, right? Like this hasn't really been a good combination of colors for quite some time. So this is like,
Since Zoltan
yeah,
Arcanum, Zoltan
exactly.
Temple. Yeah.
Yeah,
Long time ago.
Ikaria Gold decks like a couple years ago. But this, this lets you just like literally spam 1-drops and have a fun, good deck. And like Rich mentioned, these things like stack, right? So it's like such a good main deck card where like at first glance you might not really see that, but it sure is.
Insanely good.
Yeah.
Like when I first saw it, like I knew it was going to be good, but like I honestly underestimated just like how good it was going to be and just how popular it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, let's move on to Summoner Savant. This is a 2/2 mage for 3 instinct, right? Instinct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Fire time primal. When Summoner Savant attacks, you may play a unit from your hand. All right, so how broken is this card, John? Like, are you able to just drop some kiln fiends, or not kiln fiends, great kiln? Bro, literally, what is wrong with me and names today? I can't remember a single card. Sweet baby Jesus.
Great Kiln Titan.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you can do that. It's like it looks just like it looks super powerful on the surface, but it's like it's one of these
Magical
cards
criticism.
where you know each individual game it's just like hit or miss, right? The the pieces need to like align, like for you to like get this guy out, get an attack in, and have the card you're trying to cheat out in your hand at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
So like it just seems like it should be broken, but it's really not, like on average, just because of the way the games play out, right? Like,
And they
you
have
know,
a whole turn to react to it.
well, maybe there's a lot of ways to for one cost to give this guy charge and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fair.
So like that's not really like even if that's like a trivial task, to give this guy charge and attack the turn you play him or whatever, like it still has to line up like your draws and whatever, like your hand sculpting needs to be on point or your luck
Mm-hmm.
for this to like even really do much. So like I've brewed with this obviously, and I've definitely done some busted things, and every time like I'll just lose to just an average run out every once in a while from an opponent. It's like, man, this deck did nothing. It feels like anytime I try and play like ramp decks where it's like a bunch of mana dorks and a bunch of expensive stuff, it's like so many times you just draw the only the one side of your deck, and you're just like, why am I doing this to myself?
Would it be broken if it put the unit into play attacking?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, it wouldn't be broken. It would just be like so much more hardcore, like when it's popping off. Like I don't think that's necessary because a lot of these cards are so powerful or impactful just being in play, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned Great Kiln Titan, like that gets you value like at the end of your turn. Kairos is an insane one to just cheat out.
Scourge.
Yeah, Scourge of Frostholm, like things like that. Like um, Shimmer Pack is a fun one. But it's like some of those, you need the right board state. Some of them, you know, are kind of game winning against some matchups on the spot, and sometimes they're not. It's like just depends on what deck your opponent's on sometimes. Um, but yeah, like you can really just lose to yourself a lot. So I don't think this is like too powerful or anything. It's a fun build around card.
Rich, anything to add?
Yeah, no, I mean, not really anything to add. It's, my experience pretty much the same as John's. I also brewed with it, dropping, turn 4 Kairos Scourge is just, not letting anyone else have any fun. I have fun. But yeah, it's yeah, I had high hopes for it because I like doing broken things, but yeah, I mean, it's really just a roll of the dice, really, just to get everything lined up. And like, I built a deck. It was basically a glass cannon deck, that, savant or bust, and it was still wildly inconsistent.
Fair.
So,
I could believe it. I could believe it. It's definitely a fun card. Next up, Ultimatum. Hopefully man, that's a pretty good word to blow in a card. It better be worth it. Ultimatum, and the artwork's kind of cool too. Is a spell for 3 menace, so fire, primal, shadow. The enemy player must choose. Oh, gosh darn it. I'm already off of it. Mother, son of a. The enemy player chooses what's best for them. You draw a card of your choice from their hand or transform 8 random cards in their. What? Oh my god. This card's just horrible.
Yeah, calling this ultimatum is just like a slap in my face because like in Magic the Gathering, like Grixis colors and ultimatums, it's like that is like my happy place.
Oh my god, this is so bad, dude. They burned they like literally P Sully was okay with them burning ultimatum on this.
Like it makes sense to call it that if you ignore like the history of cards named ultimatum in other games, like because you're giving them an ultimatum, like let me see your hand or choke on these fire bombs maybe.
But ultimatum, it just feels like such a powerful word. And yeah, yes, I mean the ultimatums from Magic definitely influence that. But it's just such a whenever you give someone an ultimatum, it's kind of like a final verdict. Yes, you're giving them the choice, but like sure, you just always take the fire bombs, right?
Yeah. So it's not even, it's like a fake choice anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like it's just it's just.
I'm
Wait,
sure.
so hold on a second. Hold on a second. So okay, no, never mind. Okay, never mind. I saw it in the tool text. So I was like, I noticed that this doesn't say that it removes influence requirements, but it's just a generic blanket statement. Anytime you steal a card, it removes it. Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's just move on. Oh my God. Yes, people out there just always take the fire bombs and call it a day.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Ugh. Star charts is power. That's nice. Fate. Once per game. What was fate again? Is that when you draw it?
When you draw it,
it does something when you draw it. Okay. It's been such a long time. Once per game, if you did not go first, create and draw a power burst. Okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's cool, except
yeah.
It's like a factionless power.
Yeah, exactly. It goes in any deck, but it also doesn't help those decks with influence. So, but I mean, it kind of semi deals with the initiative that you get or the momentum from going first. So that's kind of neat, right?
I like exploring that design space because yeah, like I feel like on average going first is like too big of an advantage. Like any way they can smooth that out is interesting, possibly good for the game, but this is just the fact that this doesn't give you influence pigeonholes it to where you're literally only going to play it if you're playing a deck with like petition and plays as a one of or whatever. And I don't know if
Mhm.
that's ever worth it, or just playing like an actual factionless payoff deck, right?
Yeah. I think it's neat because I think everyone that's played Eternal has definitely felt those games or experienced those games where they would have won if they weren't on the draw, right? They had the removal, they had the creatures to stabilize or something. They were just a turn behind, and it just cost them the game,
Yep.
or vice versa, right? The control player, because they went first, they had the removal spell for your creature every time, and you never got the chance to attack. So yeah, it's a neat card. It's cool. I like it. All right. Our final card in this expansion is Dean's Chamber. This is a relic for 2 factionless. Units can't use summon or contract abilities, so they slapped the what's it? The Great Nullifier. What is it?
Grand Suppressor.
Grand Suppressor. They slapped it on a relic, which is kind of nice. Makes it's got its plus and minuses, right? A relic is slightly more resilient than a unit, but a unit also means that you get to do something than it just sit on the board, not necessarily doing anything. So, I mean, it's fine. No, I think this is a market card, right? The fact that it's an actual relic that potentially could do nothing. I mean, I guess the flip side is you could break it, right? You can run it, and we saw the suppressor in decks where your units not having to trigger their summon effects was quite relevant as well, right? You just play the units that have the downside summon effect to kind of balance them out. So there is that. I don't know. That being said, I don't know if it's worth a card in any deck outside of that personally. Like I said, I did put some weight on the 2/3 body of suppressor. What do you think, Rich?
I really like this card actually. I like it better than Grand Suppressor, honestly. So a small upside for Dean's Chamber is it suppresses contract abilities, which is a nice bonus that Suppressor doesn't do. So there's some give and take there. Um, I
And
ran it like all 4 copies of this main and like either 2 or 3 grand suppressors, but based on abusing the fact. Um, like there's that I can't remember the name of it. It's like double primal. It's 4 cost 7/6, and when you play it, you're supposed to give your opponent an Eye of Winter. Yeah, that one. I was running him, Belax, and a few others, and it's a 4 cost relic now. Sling. I ran it with Sling too, but I still got to sling my opponent's units down because that's not a summon or a contract. So it, it's fun. I
yeah,
mean, it worked. It's the deck I ran to Masters this month, just messing around, and it was shockingly effective.
no kidding. Post the list in the Discord. I want to try it.
Yeah, actually, I did the other day. You can go in our team channel, not like the.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was
Oh,
running the Argenport list you posted, but it doesn't take much to sell me on Argenport. Anywho, yeah, and then going back to like John's earlier statement, right? As well as you could play it in your deck, and if it doesn't do anything, you always have sacrifice synergies to get your value off of it on the back end. So I could see that. Do you have anything else on it, Rich? Before you swing it over to John,
oh no, that's about it. I mean, it's just I'm a big fan. I like it.
Yeah,
John.
I don't really have much to add either. Like, I think it's essentially 4 more copies of suppressor, so it makes kind of suppressor builder on decks a little more consistent, which
Mm-hmm.
it's fine. Interesting. Like, people were definitely trying to do black sling stuff when it was just suppressor, and that was like a little iffy. And maybe this makes that a little better, but I think, you know, Sling is no longer the boogeyman it once was anyway. But man, like getting hosed by can't use summon can sure be annoying. So I don't know. This is like a powerful effect. Um, but right, like when it's like a relic meta, it's hard to run cards like this and have them stick, right? Like if everyone's packing relic removal for like creation project, well, your little Dean Chamber deck is gonna be like collateral damage there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, sometimes, I mean, if they're relying on things like Barbuck to do the relic removal, I mean, Dean's Chamber just stops that immediately. So
yeah.
I don't see like a ton of spells, or when I do, they usually have to go to their market for their relicate. I
It's
mean,
true. Like depending on the format, some of them are contract or summon effects that they're hoping will work on the relic, but I don't
yeah,
know.
I mean, I even saw like a few creation lists that like they were running Dean's Chamber with their creation project for like, to tech the mirror.
Yeah, I think that's kind of interesting, but I don't know. Some creation project decks don't necessarily care for or against summon effect. It's like just depends on the build completely.
Oh yeah, there's so many ways you can slice it.
But yeah, it's like Sling where it doesn't itself actually do any summon or contra. Yeah, so like that's kind of interesting at least.
Yeah.
Cool. Fair enough, man. Well, that is a wrap, guys. That actually is the entire campaign there. So, not very exciting overall, in my opinion. Some definitely cool cards for sure, but that's typically what we do see from these campaigns. So, let's go ahead and actually ask the question that is a little more relevant, right? Because if we go, I guess there, man, it's kind of tough actually because you have access to all the campaigns at all times. This is obviously not. I'm trying to think. I guess all right. Let me just go ahead and ask it. So, starting with you, Rich, if you were a new player, you had a limited collection, and a scale from 1 to 5, 5 being the highest and 1 being the lowest. What priority would you give for newer players to pick up this campaign for their collection?
Hmm. Man, that's a tough question for me. It's been a while since I've been in that position. Um, well, let me see. Off the top of my head, I mean, there's
Well, I
you
guess the easiest way to
catalyze.
simplify would be how excited are you for this campaign versus like I don't know what was one of the broken ones. I guess the Zoltan one was kind of broken, right?
Um, I give this like a 3.5 or maybe even 4. Like, there's a lot of new and exciting stuff going on in this one, and some new design spaces being pushed. That, well, not like a push card, but like with star charts and doing the fate, another fate card on a power, or and the new inscribe, which I think would be a big help to newer players if their multi-faction power is hurting. There's all these inscribes that most of them are decent and playable.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, around 3.5 or 4, so somewhere in that range for me.
And they could just sit there and all give their opponents ultimatums. Yeah. John, what about you? What priority would you give this one for new players?
I think relatively low because it's not like a bunch of overtly powerful cards. Like I think if you're you know you want to play a creation project deck, then obviously you prioritize it. If you want to, you know, as a new player, I don't think the like brewing prospects are really there for the most part because you have to have like a collection around the brewing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like for a newer player perspective, I don't know that this is like high priority set, right? Like it also depends on if they're going for throne or expedition, right? Like the most recent set is obviously always going to be in expedition the longest from the moment it releases, right? So there is that, but like I think creation project. I don't think it's like an unfair card, but I think it might get a little nerfed at some point too.
And
And
then
there's
when it
nothing else
does,
that's
it's
really quite that just that power level, really. Like, some fun
Yeah.
tilt arounds. Like I like the set, but for a player, like I think it's too high quality.
yeah, probably not like critically needed for
Yeah,
uh,
I think
competition purposes,
yeah,
unless you want to be a creation project, like John said.
yeah, fair enough. I think it's a very fair campaign. I think there's some good cards, but the good cards are just good. They're not anything broken, and then there's definitely some swings and misses. But we see that from any set slash campaign or mini set or whatnot. So yeah, I'm probably with John on this one. I think this one's kind of a low priority. There's nothing really that's going to help your collection too much, and then there's really like no point in mentioning it for older players just because they either have the gold laying around or they always get them or they don't get them at all, and they can pick and choose and whatnot. And plus, but yeah, there's definitely other campaigns out there I think have a lot more to kind of up your card quality of your collection. So, but yeah, I definitely think Marauder, Lethroy Marauder, and Direwood Pack are the winners for me in this set. And Collision Course, I think. I think those are just all around solid cards that would happily go in your collection. Creation Project is good, but it is a bit of a builder. Maybe not. I don't know. But all right. Well, that will do it here. We'll call it a wrap here. John, as always, thanks for being on the show and hanging out with me, man. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. Fun as always.
Rich, thanks for taking the time and adjusting your schedule to be on the show, man. It's great having you. Fantastic insight. Appreciate you. Big contribution to the team. Just constantly throwing your brews and feedback in there. So thanks for coming on the show, man.
Hey, thank you for the invite. This has been very fun, very exciting to be here. Kind of a little trippy hearing this in live person and instead of waiting to listen to the new episode that come out. So yeah, this is great. Thanks for having me.
Yep. Well, and just in case if you do end up listening to this in the background or something like that, if Lil Rich, if you're listening, then Pikachu. But
Oh, thank you. I'm definitely gonna. I'll let her hear it. I'll be like, hey, come listen to this.
fair enough. All right, friends, that will do it for this one. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. Till next time, as always, happy gaming.
Good looking at your draft, dude.